So there's really interesting um, developments in what led to the British taking control of India, as we talked about earlier in the last section. That um, India always had a difficulty having being unified, and that the Mughals, who were Islamic, dominating mainly a Hindu population, were eventually sidelined by British rule. And it had to do a lot with initially the British East India company coming in. Keep in mind that even the United States, right, was originally started with merchant ships, right, um, and then would end up becoming a part of the crown. So supposedly, and I say it supposedly because it seems to be kind of using as an excuse, but reacting to rumors of the East India Company's abuses of Indians, the British Parliament passed the India Act of 1784. They restricted the company's commercial monopoly in 1814, then ended its privileged status in 1833. Finally, by the 1850s, the British Crown dominated solely India. And, um, if you look historically to say that the British Crown controlled India better or nicer than the British East India Company, I don't know. It's a little more complex. And, you have certain British nationalists to this day who claim that British rule in India brought civilization and that it wasn't such a bad thing. And then you have Indian nationalists that were like, you guys are freaking out of your mind. You're just, assholes. That's just kind of putting it lightly, how the dialogue goes back and forth. And we'll see when we get to World War II how that kind of conflict and tension between Indian nationalists and British nationalists would be reasserted. And clearly, there were Indians who were not comfortable with the British rule. So we have the famous Indian Revolt or the Sepoy Mutiny of 1857. Triggered. This was actually triggered by new rifle cartridges that were rumored to have been greased in cow or pig fat. For the Hindus, the cow was sacred, so saying that it was wrapped in cow fat offended them. Pigs are considered unclean for Muslims, and that would upset them. I think it's clear to say that such a rumor, I think that it's clear that there were these boiling issues, right, that surfaced up when these rumors started. That whether a Hindu man was in the camp or a Muslim Indian, that they were just angry or frustrated with the British, and any kind of little rumor could just blow them up and make them upset. So the British chained and imprisoned many sepoys for refusing an order. Hundreds of sepoys rebelled, killing many British, even children. I mean, it was a very bloody revolt. Different sectors of Indians joined, and the British really crushed this, even burning entire villages. So no one can really be said to have respected civilians or human life in this. And then, ironically, the British abolished the East Indian Company. They replaced sepoys with British troops. They're more reliable. And the British Parliament proclaimed Queen Victoria Empress of India in 1876. And so to put this time period in perspective as well, think about it, the 1857 in America, what was going on. We're talking about the build up to the U.S. Civil War. In 1850s was Bleeding Kansas in the USA. And John Brown. So that's kind of just some of the things going on in the world time. And so I'll stop here for this section.